good things happen. Imagine how frustrating it will be for a man to labor for 35 years and then you hear that him and his family are wiped away because a witch, sometimes it's even a 10-year-old witch, stood on the road and then he stopped the front tire and the car somersaulted. A witch. You know what that witch may be doing? Maybe that's her IT. And then she came to do her IT on your family that you labor to build for 35 years. A witch, IT on your family. Man, ought. You don't know what I want to talk about. I was a preacher. I was popular and known. But every 3 years, a hawk came to my family and picked somebody. My mother died. My cousin died. My brother died. And I said, wait, what is this? And then God began to teach me priesthood intelligence. You pray for people, they are healed. You pray for things, they happen. But you don't have a surveillance over your family. Because your prayer is directed to needs. Your prayer is not an economy in heaven. The day you begin to pray as an economy, then you create a radar around your family. The devil will have no passageway anymore. And then this year, the same hawk came. And when the hawk came, we saw it in the spirit. And I tapped my friend, I said, come. And we stood up around 12, we began to pray. And an angel descended in the room. The angel was burning. Everything about him was like a sun. And then I knew judgment had come and we released judgment. 2 months later, the man died. He began to decay in his room. And before he died, 2 months later, he confessed. And he said, he killed my brother 2 years ago. That means the life of my brother was in my hand. But because I didn't understand priesthood, my brother fell off my hand. When I was crying and asking God why, God was the one asking me why. Because the purpose of that young man was in my hand, but I didn't know I was a priest. I will pray for things to happen, but I never knew that prayer was an economy that preserved the heritage of God in the life and in the family. The purposes of God will never be accomplished until men know how to fill the clouds of heaven with the dew of prayer. Because men ought always to pray and not to faint. This microphone I'm carrying today was an investment of my mother for more than 30 years. She kept me before the Lord. She said, this one will serve you. And many years later in the university, I met strange friends and they began to teach me the way of the club. The thing became worse when my mom died, and I said I will become a bad boy. But you know what? My voice couldn't go to heaven. Her voice was already registered in heaven, and on the strength of her voice, there was a signature on my forehead. Even though I said I would be a bad boy, heaven couldn't hear that one anymore. Men ought. It was in the club when I was dancing that a light came out of the wall and arrested me like this. So I was carried to the altar. I didn't come here because I choose to serve God. Men ought always to pray and not to fail. Did you read about Jacob? The guy was a man of the senses, a man of the flesh. He was the custodian of the Abrahamic blessing. He lived for his appetite. But he was journeying and then he came to Bethel. And when his head touched the altar of Abraham, the heavens opened. He was arrested. The guy had no plan to serve God. But what? Men ought always to pray. So Abraham negotiated the destiny of his children on the altar of prayer. So long as you are from the bloodline of Abraham, you have no choice but to serve God. Because men ought. The altars of Abraham will travel with you. Anywhere you go, that altar will gather you back to the Lord. Men ought always to pray. When a spirit speaks, pray that you discern. We spend hours in our offices. You are in the office from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You have 10 million in the bank. You think that is what life is about. You are a joker. May no demon do an IT on your family. You don't know the deeper meaning of life. May God help you. Let me tell you, the Bible said there is an evil day for every man. Because the devil is roaring. Moving like a roaring lion. Looking for whom to devour. The day when evil comes, may God help you to have enough stature. Because he says if you faint in the day of trouble, it's not because God is not on the throne. It's because your strength is small. Men ought. He said the prayers of the saints, they ascend to heaven as others. They are stored in golden vials. What is your storage in heaven? Men ought. Men ought. Men, may we not testify for something that the devil wants to use to ridicule us. May I not stand and testify about my daughter, whereas the devil has set a trap for her to become a harlot. Because I don't know the intelligence of guiding her future. Before my children are born,